In this video, it's going to be an exciting one because I'm going to bring you through the exact strategy that we're using to get a client from $3,000 a day, around there, maybe a bit more, all the way up to $10,000 a day in sales pretty consistently. And it is Q4, so we are in the process of scaling, but we are working on a lot of multiple different aspects within the business that is allowing that scale to happen. But most importantly, that consistency, which is the most important part when we're scaling an e-commerce business, right? So with no further ado, let's get right into it. I have a lot to show you. Great, so as usual, let's go through the proof and show you a quick example of the account that we're scaling. Now, I'm going to spend slightly a bit more time on this page on the Shopify dashboard, then I'm going to share other things as usual, but I want to spend a little bit more time here because I want to show you the consistency level that we're achieving and that we want to achieve moving forward as we're scaling this account and as we're growing this company online, right? So this is kind of like what the client was achieving before. They were doing quite well, but their revenue fluctuations were going pretty up and down drastically, which is very makes business quite unpredictable, more stressful, and then overall the account is like a lot way. It's like the best way not to scale in the best way, essentially, right? So not that made no sense, but essentially what I'm trying to say is that if you have revenue fluctuations and you're treating, it's probably because you're treating the ad account in the wrong way. And look, I'm not going to talk about everything now, so stick until the next slide that I'm going to share, because I'm going to pretty much bring you through like 3, 4, 5 main principles that we're using to get to this point. And of course, as I said before, it is Q4, so we are, the client was probably going to scale automatically or naturally, but I don't think it would have scaled to this extent this soon, because of course, Black Friday is in the 29th. Today is like the 12th. So it is still pre-Black Friday period, but of course it is Q4. So I don't want to take full credit of this client, but I do want to show you the level of consistencies in revenue that we're achieving, which was not achieved before, and how we intend to scale to that next level. So as you can see over here, this was basically the previous period. We took on October 23rd. Now it's November 11th. And as soon as we took on, we stabilized the account. I'm going to show you how we've done that in just a second with another slide. So stick with me. But look at the revenue before. Look at the revenue before, which is the period before we basically onboarded. This transparent line, up, down, and up and down and up, all the way up and all the way down. Basically, the business was making 50% more, 50% less, 100% more, 100% less. So it was kind of like really unstable, which once again is not ideal at all for the ad account and the business overall. Makes things a lot more unpredictable. And as soon as we hopped on, you see the level of consistency in days and how we're gradually scaling over here. Scaling. This dropping point from this day to this day was mainly due because the ad account just did not spend for some reason. So we had like 12 hours, 6-7 hours where it didn't spend, and then it picked up later. So we had to like recoup, and then we bumped up again, and then we started scaling a bit more because things were working very well. And then, once there's a drop off, it's not a huge drop off, like from 10K to 9K a day, right? Same thing with here, from 5K day to like 6K days to 7K days. So it's all very, very consistent. Another example of what they were doing before over here. Maybe we can take a look at, I don't know, the month, let's say start of October, just so you see how much revenue fluctuations they had. You see all the way up and all the way down, all the way up and all the way down. These are not good. And also the week before, you see very, very similar pattern. These are not very, very healthy metrics, okay? So I'm excited once again because in the last 7 days, we're scaling quite aggressively, 44% increase over the last week. And I think if we end up doing and continuing what we're doing, which I'm going to explain in just a second, I'm going to share the plan of what we're doing. We're probably going to scale them to like $20,000, maybe $30,000 on the day of Black Friday, or maybe, who knows, more, less, who knows. I'll keep you updated with this client. But either way, let's move on over here because I want to show you a couple extra things. I'm going to show you this. Whoops, too many things. Freeform. So I have an entire plan. As you can see over here, I have several things to discuss. But let me start from the top, because of course we always start from the top. So from 3K to 10K days, what we're doing to increase scale, as I showed you, consistency and profitability, which is by far the best things, the best three things that you can work on as you're trying to scale your business. So first of all, we have to consider one thing, and this is the first thing that we worked on, the ad account, right? Simple ad account plus consistent spend equals more consistent revenue. So this is kind of what we want to achieve. And so what I wrote here, just so I can read some of my notes that I shared and I worked on earlier, we never want to drastically change the structure of the ad account. Keep that in mind. If we stick to an ad account structure, like stick to it. Don't test the structure and test the strategy and then change the ad account structure and test the strategy, rechange the ad account structure. It's not how it works. You should focus on other things like creatives, and while sticking with the same exact ad account structure. Don't go from one place to another. It will confuse the account and it's not going to work. Okay. Next thing, we always want to keep a similar structure, as I said, optimize it over a gradual period of time and simplify the structure of it and maintain a very consistent spending strategy. Okay. So once again, the reason why the client was going from 6K a day to 1K a day, 2K a day, like very inconsistent, was because they were basically almost scaling or descaling the account every single day, which is just not the way that we do it and not very healthy. And so what we're trying to do here is basically achieve this kind of, like I did a little chart here, account optimization. As you optimize the account, you're going to most likely almost every single time see that revenue consistency. So this is a linear trend. As you optimize the ad account over here, you're going to see revenue you're going to see revenue consistency over here. So this is kind of a little trend just to show you. And how to achieve this? We achieve this by, of course, creative focus. We always want to focus and put all of our focus and energies on angles and creatives and creative concepts. That's where our focus should go. Consistent spend. We want to spend consistently daily and not have like those huge spending kind of like fluctuations. We typically, when we scale by 20%. So we never go from like 1,000 to like 7,000 unless there's like a super particular reason for it, like a sale. Like if we know that we're going to scale and previous data tells us that we're ready to scale and it's a holiday and it's like Black Friday or whatever, or Halloween, then we of course, that's a different scenario. I'm just saying evergreen, right? And then less active campaigns. This client currently had multiple active campaigns. Some of them were justified, but we're trying to like put everything into like a much more simplified space so that we can make scaling easier and we can make the account a lot more consistent. Okay, if you have multiple campaigns, you're going to have multiple results. Therefore, you could end up having more revenue fluctuations. Not every time, it depends. I mean, that's what I've seen. And so this is kind of like the before and after, as you kind of saw, and what we're trying to achieve here. This was the before, where the client was seeing like 2K, 6K, 3K, 8K, one, like, kind of like this. Of course, these are random numbers, but like this was what we were seeing, as I told you and showed you on the graph. And this is what we're achieving in the first 2 to 3 weeks as we're starting to work with them, which makes the business a lot better. Now, let me start with one of the first activities that we're doing right now, very heavy, aggressive on this, because it really forms and gives us a very clear path on how we should scale the company. And it's product review mining and marketing angle research, okay? We do this, we take this process very religiously, because I'm gonna show you in the next steps on what I'm going to talk about in this video. But this essentially will set the skeleton for the next 3 months. Okay, so we set a strategy, we follow it, we do a bunch of market research, and it's going to give us the best foundation that we can follow for the strategies that we want to test moving forward. And so just to show you, this is essentially what I mean. So product review mining, what we want to do, let me just read this first and then show you something else. The goal here is to do in-depth research and come up with new marketing angles or expand on existing winning marketing angles. Okay, this research process helps us dive deeper into our avatar customer to learn more about them, what their desires are, problems are, fears, etc. So we can speak their language and craft high converting ads. This is the exact reason on why we want to work on these things. And trust me, this is like some foo-foo, goo-goo gaga, like old shit, but it works. Okay, it works. It's boring. It's a college assignment type of thing, but it really works. And honestly, I really enjoy the process, and my team does as well. So we do it because it helps us. Now, let me show you something over here. This is the marketing angle. I've showed you this graph a billion times, but what we want to do is basically, this is a demo, right? It's just forget about these rows, but we typically have like 20, 30 concepts lined up in terms of marketing angles. And then of course, these creative inspirations are just going to stay here. This is like a standard. It helps us with, not forgetting creative concepts that we can test. So this is the columns that we fill up, and then of course a bunch of hooks as well. But before we even get here, we actually do something called customer mining. And so we basically look at different aspects of the business, buyer motivations, use cases when they use the product, topics, what they think what customers think is good, what they think needs to be improved, purchasing motivations, desired outcomes, who, when, where, usage, like what is the usage case, right? All these things are super, super important. And the way that we do this is that we actually use extensions like this one over here. Where is it? Where is it? Let me just find it because it's a pretty powerful tool. It's ChatGPT for Amazon with ChatGPT. Yeah, Shulex Copilot. Shulex Copilot, you basically go on Amazon, your direct competitor that has like 1,000 reviews there, and then it will basically mine. You install the extension, and then you will see like a top section, and you can mine and build like research reports, and then research reports on review minings. So they study the reviews and they come up with some conclusions, and then you can download some things, and then you can fill up a sheet that is similar to this one. All of this came from the report that was installed, and so it's pretty automatic. It gives us a very good understanding of what people are looking for, and it gives us a very, very good understanding of what we should focus on with our marketing angles. Now, this is the things that we're focusing on with this client and the way that we started the collaboration. Now, next thing, once we identified and did our market research before doing random things with creatives, this is how we are approaching scaling winning angles with new creative concepts. We're focusing on what is working, we're doubling down on what is working, and then of course we're testing new concepts, but as you can see here, we're not going all in on testing these new concepts. We're probably spending around 20%, 10%, 20% of our time on these new concepts that we want to test. And then typically how we're scaling the account, other than simplifying it and optimizing it and doing all that stuff that I spoke about before, we're actually just adding more creative to it so that we can fuel it and basically have this structure where we scale the winning angles with new creative concepts. And so as I showed you in this sheet over here, we find the winning angle. Let's just say these three are the winning angles, and then we scale with different creative concepts that have not maybe been tested, right? But we know have potential based on the industry, the niche, the angle, and just based on past experience and data that we have working with over 100 clients, right? That's essentially the advantage. And so this is how we're able to scale. And chances are, if you crack let's just say the double chin angle is really a winner. If you crack this winning angle, chances are multiple types of creative concepts will actually end up working, which is great, right? And so that's what we're doing and focusing on. And we've actually launched some ads that they never tested before. And this makes me feel so bullish about this opportunity, specifically with this client. And we launched the same exact angle, and it had like a 4 ROAS, and it was like ready to scale. And so we're scaling that as we speak. Okay, and then let me just go back over here. So hopefully this makes sense. This is really, really important, especially doing Q4. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we don't want to spend like 50% of our time testing new things. We want to spend time where we already know things, the angles are proven and are proven to work and able to give us the best results. Now, next things that I want to talk about is basically CRO. We also took them on with the CRO service here, and this is really great because they're also doing advertorials and they have a good product page. But what we're testing over here is that we will do around 1 split test or A/B test per week, along with like optimizing current landing pages, just to make them better. And so this is kind of the structure that you can expect, and you should also do as you split test your advertorials and your product pages. And so in this case, they have I'm going to give you like an actual scenario of what we're doing for them. So they have like multiple advertorials and like one main product page. And so we go in the advertorial and we test like the main headline with like 2 other split tests. And so this is going to be like the first test, and then we are going to do the same thing a week later with like CTA button. Maybe we change the CTA button, and then we track click-through rates. Same thing with product with product pages here, right? So we can split this headlines. We can split testimonial sections. This is what we did. We actually revamped their entire product page, and we've added multiple other sections. And so we're split testing all these things at once. But the thing with CRO is that if you want to do it well, you have to do one thing at a time, and you have to track every single aspect of the CRO test. And so what we do with our clients, and what we're doing with this client in particular, is that we basically have a sheet over here called CRO tracker, and I've showed this sheet several times. But what we're doing is that we're testing one test per week, right? Just make sure that you have enough purchases, because then the tests don't make sense. We want at least, depending on the test, around 150 to 250 purchases to basically, I would say at least 250 purchases to make sure that you give it enough time and enough data. If you're doing less than 250 purchases, doesn't really make sense. This client is doing around like 70, 100 orders plus orders per day or something like that. And so it makes sense for us to actually do CRO for them, right? If they're doing 100 orders per month, it still doesn't make sense, right? And so keep this in mind. And what we're doing with the test is tracking, what we're targeting. So product page, the suggested test, the hypothesis. If we move this product section, what will happen? Like the if-then statements. If we do this, then this will happen. And then the version A, which is the current one, and then the new version. And then, of course, we add our expected change in conversion rate and metrics. And then we track the success of it. These are like Figma links. This is where we actually do everything on Figma. So we pre-design it on Figma. We have it approved by the client, and then we basically launch it into Shopify and build it with page builders or code it, whatever we have to do. And so in this case, let's just say these are all finished. It's a demo. And then we put the conversion rate before, the conversion rate after, and then we have like changes. And then of course we record data and say, okay, we went from 2.67 to 2.96, 2.67 to 2.96, 55. So this was a failure. So we put and track successful, unsuccessful. We've actually also added, I'm not sure why it's not here, a column called notes for one very important reason, and you should do this as well. Let me just change color so you can see it. And this is where we kind of like write notes about the process, because maybe we did a split test while there was like a huge sale. And of course, if there's a sale, it's not ideal to have like a split test, but maybe like one day out of the 7 days that we used for a split test was like inflated by a sale. So conversion rate maybe increased. So if that was the case, maybe we write, test could have been potentially inflated by Halloween sale or something like that, or whatever you have to write. Always have notes so that you can go back and document tests and still have all the data over here. Just like we do this with CRO, we do this with every aspect of our funnel: the ad copy, the creatives, every single things that ad set that goes into our ad account, we track so that we understand exactly how things are going. Okay, I hope this video was valuable. I did go over a couple things, but this is pretty much the structure that we're using, that we're using to scale. And of course, we are already starting to see some CRO results. We've definitely seen some results that have ticked up the account by leveraging winning concepts and scaling with creative concepts. And then, of course, we did a bunch of research which helped us do all these things, right? Including optimizing the CRO, because research just gives you a bunch of knowledge and information for every aspect of your business. And then, of course, we really simplified the efficiency by going from before to after, which is a much more consistent revenue model. And then, of course, I hope this number will go way up. The client is hoping that as well, of course, and so I'll keep you updated on how this client is doing. But yeah, let me know if you have any specific questions about this case study, about others. Give me other suggestions. I'll answer personally. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and see you in the next one. Bye.